Welcome back to the Empower365 Podcast. This show is about builders, operators, and entrepreneurs who are actually in the trenches shaping industries. Today, we're diving into the solar industry, which is one of the fastest growing sectors in the world, but also one of the most misunderstood. You hear a lot about giant solar companies, you hear about government incentives, you hear about energy transition. But what most people don't hear about are the operators actually installing the systems and building the company behind the scenes. Today, I'm joined by Aaron Eddy, Director of Operations at SunPath Services in Beaverton, Oregon. Aaron has spent a decade in solar and works at a company that's taking a very different approach than the big national installers. Aaron, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Ty. Appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Yeah, it's exciting. Let's start with something most homeowners don't realize. Solar has grown insanely fast over the last decade, but there's a kind of dirty secret in the industry. A lot of solar companies are really sales organizations first and solar companies second. Is that fair to say?
Well, at its heart, we're all sales organizations, but you have to be able to execute on the promises you're making to the people, to your customers. And that's where some of the other organizations are falling short or have fallen short. We had a big boom, 2018 to about 2024. It was a gold rush. You could install solar at a really good rate. Interest rates were down. Equipment was coming down in costs, and we saw a lot of new entrances into the market. Every week I'd look, and there'd be another solar company offering services in our service territory, and I'd be like, oh, where did these guys come from? And you just start doing some research, and somebody worked for somebody, thought he could run his own company, and so that's how they started.
Yeah, sometimes the grass isn't greener on the other side either.
Yeah.
Solar is one of the few industries where the sales company and the installation company are totally different businesses. One thing that I've noticed though from solar operators is the best companies usually start with the people who came up with the technical side of the business. You actually understand what's going on the ground, what happens on the roofs. Why do you think this matters?
Uh, Look, we're putting equipment on people's most Americans' most valuable asset, their home. You know, they put their life savings into getting a deposit. They're putting a lot of their weekly paychecks into paying for that mortgage. They don't want somebody coming out and drilling holes and damaging that asset. So, we really want to make sure that when we're sending folks out to meet with folks, to customers, that they know what they're looking at, they know what to expect, and to tell a client what we're going to do. At the end of the day, that client is told what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, what needs to happen, because there's always, these are custom projects, custom homes. Not every one of them's the same. Sometimes you can't run a conduit the way you did on the last one. Sometimes you got to use a different attachment method. Disclosing all that to folks is what you need to do so they can make an educated decision about moving forward with this project or not.
Yeah, so what you guys do really good is you're not just selling the deal, you're basically partnering with your client, walking them through every step of the process. I mean, let's face it, solar panels could last 25, 30 years. If the installation goes wrong, the mistakes can last 25 to 30 years. That's a
Yep.
big problem from an investment standpoint.
Yeah. And these projects, they're meant to operate for a really long time. A lot of these most mistakes within the industry happen from installation practices, installation habits. And that's where having a really skilled, knowledgeable team comes into play. So when they come across a unique situation, they have the expertise and the background to start leveraging know-how to address it. I've worked for a number of companies. You get some younger guys, some older guys. Having that good mix allows that team to operate efficiently and accurately. When you don't have that good mix, you just have cheap labor, or as you mentioned previously, somebody that knows how to talk but doesn't know how to twist the wrench and do that work. That's when these unique projects come knocking, and those small mistakes that happen on day one now become a roof leak and a mold infestation or an electrical issue that didn't present itself on day one, but as the system gets older and ages, it's kind of like, your body. A knee injury you got when you played football in high school doesn't show up or rear its ugly head until you're about 40 or 50 years old. And then it becomes an everyday pain, and you go to the doctor and he's like, "Oh, you should have had this replaced 40 years ago." So you gotta focus on the small details, the day one install, and leverage your know-how to make sure these things get done properly on day one.
Sure. How important is it to find, like you said, from a demographic standpoint, an older group of people, a younger group of people coming up in the trade? How important is it to get that right mix, in your company? And
It's
is it
everything.
hard to do? Is it a
It's
pain in the ass to do?
it's extremely difficult. It was more difficult during the boom years, that 2018 to 2024. The labor market was tight. The COVID restrictions were in place. It was just a tough market to find that help expand the business. It's a little easier now. The labor market has softened a little bit, but you got to find the right guy that has the know-how and the fit for your organization, and then make sure he gels with the team and he adheres and not adheres. He operates under the same values that your organization does. One of our values is customers first, customer service first. These are people. We want to treat them with respect and treat them as knowledgeable partners in this project, because we don't want them to be just a number on a spreadsheet and a name on a list. So,
I love that. I love that, Aaron. That's awesome. Here's something interesting. A lot of people assume the big solar companies are the best, but I'm starting to see the opposite. Some of the best installers are coming from the smaller companies like SunPath. Why is that?
again, I'll say that we're able to leverage our team, our expertise, and then one of the big missions is that customer first approach. I'll give you a perfect example. Last night about 6:30, I'm making dinner for my kids. I have a client call me. We had put an energy storage system in for him, and the batteries weren't working right. They were discharging when they shouldn't have been. He's got an elderly mother-in-law. He was really concerned that he wasn't going to have power or something was bad happening. I said, let me make some phone calls. I know it's after hours. I'm going to make some phone calls. I'll see what I can figure out. Within about 45 minutes, we had it sorted out. We had tech support pushing some new firmware, getting the issue resolved. The smaller companies are able to have those services where you can reach out and get a hold of a knowledgeable person that can help fix your issue or alleviate your concern quickly. And the large organizations, many of them are set up based off of a consumer sales model where it's like a 9 to 5. That's when we talk to you. But from 9 to 8 or 5 to 8 in the morning, we don't have a service for you. We'll call you back. Energy is 24/7. You got to be able to talk to people. You got to be able to, hear their issues, try to find resolutions. And that's where a lot of the smaller operators are able to leverage their skills and their customer focused approach to, really take care of these clients, because it is a 24/7 business. I'm sorry to tell you that, sales organization, it's a 24/7 business.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, some of these companies, they install thousands of systems. I gotta believe the quality control goes to shit, and you guys are doing it where every single project matters. It's almost like a craftsman style approach. That's awesome. Um, that's why companies like you are gonna probably survive in the next decade. You guys will have one of the best reputations out there. Let's take a little zoom out right now. There's a massive energy transition happening globally. Utilities, solar, battery, electric vehicles. This is turning into one of the biggest infrastructure shifts in 100 years. Where do you think solar fits in?
Two part. So we have to really look at how energy operates. It's a 24-hour business, 24/7 business. You have these utility operators, they're looking to supply power within seconds, sometimes, minutes to seconds. If we're going to really make solar, and particularly solar with energy storage, become a significant part of the utility resource, you have to be able to operate with that mindset that these assets are online, they have uptime, and that you make a commitment to a utility operator or even a homeowner that the system's going to be online and functioning. Because when it doesn't, now everybody has to scramble. Whether it's a homeowner or the utility, they've got to go, if a homeowner, he's got to go buy a generator because his batteries don't work now and he hasn't had power for 2 or 3 days. In the Pacific Northwest, we get storms and people in the mountains can be out of power for weeks. It's just part of life here. And it's not bad utilities. It's just storms come through, things get knocked down. It's just how it is. On the utility side, those guys are looking to balance the power on a second by second basis. And when they make a deal for you to provide power from 4 o'clock to 9 o'clock, they expect you to provide the amount of power you said you were, no matter what. Because when it doesn't happen, they have to go buy it off the market at an insane rate. And that's why many of us are paying higher rates. They're having to go shift their purchase mix to account for variability and some other things. But, we gotta be able to deliver when we say we're going to deliver.
Yeah, trust me, living down here in California, man, we feel the bite um, from that problem and the political bullshit that we deal with is crazy. It almost feels like we're moving from a centralized power plants to millions of little power plants on people's rooftops as a huge asset.
Yeah, and it is. We're seeing that the cost of generating power has come down. The cost of storing it is on a trajectory moving down, and that's able to decentralize the grid, which is a great thing. When you have one giant asset that's trying to control an entire region, most of the grid operators are regionalized. It creates resiliency for that program, creates resiliency for homeowners and businesses, and allows the system to operate. And that is a good thing for our economy, for our future, allows the grid to sustain and be there.
I love it. I feel like our houses are basically becoming a power plant, you know? That's great. Let's talk batteries because I think this is the next big shift. Solar without batteries is great, but solar with batteries changes the entire equation. Why is storage becoming so important?
So
I know you touched on it a little bit. Could you just
yeah, I touched
elaborate
on
more
it. Let's like
specifics?
dive into that just briefly. So again, the grid has to be managed on a minute by minute, second by second interval. Like there's not a lot of energy storage previously that can handle the demand that millions of homes and businesses put on the electrical system. Energy storage is starting to change that. You're able to store power where it's being generated and where it's being consumed. And it's allowing us to shift demand around the grid, which makes the grid operators easier to manage that second by second need. I think the big driver, like we have the technology now we need policies and intercommunication to allow grid operators particularly to leverage that technology in a way that makes financial sense for people installing it. And for those who can't install it, like apartment renters and whatever else, you don't want to shift costs onto them for the small group that can install this equipment. So that's kind of the next big fight is how do we get the grid operators who are used to doing things one way, big giant generators, they make a phone call to one place to get their generation. They don't have to dial out to 30,000 homes to get it, but we got to figure out how to make that dial out communication system possible. And there's some great pilot programs that are figuring it out, but I think in the next 5 years, it's going to be really, really important.
Nice, nice. You brought up policy. I know you've been involved with discussions around solar incentives in Oregon. How important are these programs to homeowners?
So homeowners are really important to Here's incentives are meant to help industries develop, industries evolve, mature. And solar for a long time has not a long time, but probably the last 7, 8 years has really matured. We figured out how to do it. It's matured to such a place that so many new entrances were coming in because it's been simplified. It's not a technical course anymore where you got to spend years and years and doing a bunch of voltage and current calculations to figure out how to tie things together. It's very plug and play now, which is great. It simplifies it a lot. But we've come to a point that the incentives needed to be reduced or eliminated to push for efficiency in the industry. A lot of folks don't like that comment. I'll be very blunt about it. But if you look at markets, when you get rid of incentives, when you get rid of primarily incentive support, efficiency rules, those companies that can find ways to operate efficiently, find ways to take care of their customers efficiently are the ones that kind of succeed. And that really needed to happen. It did under the Trump bill. It is hurting the industry as a whole because we're seeing a contraction, but there's an opportunity in contraction, as many investors say. So we're looking forward to leveraging that, leveraging our customer approach and our expertise to help in this downturn. So when the upturn happens, we're there and in the forefront. And then, the flip side is on a state level, you really got to look at your state energy resource and build your policies to support that resource and support the industry that uses the resource. So for all the states that are setting aggressive renewable goals, I encourage them to also look at how that affects your industry, how it affects your supply chain, because at the end of the day, simple economics tend to rule supply and demand. If you limit supply and increase demand, prices go up. And we're seeing that across the entire nation. I don't know.
And ultimately, the goal is simple. I mean, everybody wants to make solar, affordable for normal households. On this show, we talked a lot about technology, AI, how it's transforming industries. Solar is a good industry for automation. What are you seeing from an automation standpoint, like design, permitting, scheduling, monitoring, customer communication? What's leadership in your company thinking about as this whole shift in AI and technology is kind of just really hitting everybody right in the face?
Yeah, so it has a place in our organization because of our approach to customer first. Our communication, we tend to lean on, at least for customer outreach and communication. If it's a discussion, it's a personal email, personal phone call, like that. That's our push. If it's a system update or hey, we've submitted for permits and just kind of a general update on how projects are progressing, those are tend to be automated through systems. And then we're working on a lot of the data entry using AI and our customer management system to auto generate like permit applications, certain forms to where you don't have to pay somebody to sit and fill out the 3 or 4 forms you need to submit every permit. So we're working on that. It's a work in progress. The big thing we're able to leverage AI on right now is design support, and I specify support because again, these are custom homes, custom businesses. You can't just trust AI to spit out a proposal and have it be 80 or 90% accurate, which is the benchmark we set for our initial consultation with somebody. We want things to be really close to the mark. So when we do have someone out meeting with the client, the tweaks we have to make are small, not, oh, wait, we didn't design this tree that's next to the house. Your house doesn't work for solar. Or, hey, we didn't realize you have a 70-foot, apartment complex next to your house or business. So, and those are things AI will get better at, but right now it's not there. So we use AI to do a preliminary and we send somebody in to tweak it, update it, make sure it's accurate before anything goes out to a client. And then we're also leveraging AI for a lot of the data pool. So like we like to know how many permits we're pulling in a jurisdiction. We like to know our pass or fail rate with permits and some some other like incentive based inspections. So we're able to pull that and have that information get coalesced much quicker than having somebody go through a giant list and having to correlate the data. So,
I got a
find
question. When
small
you
ways to leverage it, but still be customer first.
Right. When you guys submit like a proposal to your customer, is it just like a 3D rendering or what does that look like?
There are softwares to do the 3D rendering. We currently aren't using that. We mainly use like a look down image, two-dimensional image of a rooftop, and then it goes into a customized proposal system. We don't leverage the online proposal tools right now. We use a custom one just because it allows us to modify our viewpoints much easier. So that may change, but that's just where we are right now. But we can do 3D rendering, especially with like new construction where you don't have that rooftop image. It helps clients really see things. And then when we've had to deal with HOAs or we've got some historical byways up here that have land use regulations and they want to see a 3D rendering of what the panels look like from a road that's 2 miles away. So you got to kind of make a 3D image and then set yourself on that road to look at it. And there are tools that we can use to deal with those situations, but day to day, we're not trying to leverage it right now.
I think down the road, there's got to be a way where AI creates like a photorealistic or actual photo of exactly what you guys are building. I gotta believe it's coming down the pipeline at some point.
Yeah. It's probably in the works with a lot of these design services. I'm sure they're working on it. It's just about the market diminishing returns, like how it helps certain clients, doesn't always help a lot of them. Most of them care more about what you're telling to them, how things are going to operate, and that's really what most of our clients are looking for in our experience.
Nice. Let's say someone's listening and is considering solar. What are the three things homeowners should look for when choosing an installer?
First and foremost, look at reputation, and that's not just Google reviews, because you can get a company that offers a gift card and they got 500 to 1,000 Google reviews. But then when you dig into how they actually operate, it may not be so great. So Google reviews, we encourage our clients to give multiple proposals so they can see that you're getting a competitive price. You're not just getting the door-to-door guy that comes in and is pushing for a close at that moment. And then compare offerings and services. Like one of our big approaches is we put in surge protectors, and if we see that you've got squirrels or raccoons or pigeons around, we recommend critter guards and things like this. And it's part of our initial proposal. We call it out in the proposal, but that's our industry knowledge saying we notice these things right in the vicinity of your project. You need them. Otherwise, it could cost you a lot of money down the road. So the
You've
surge
seen the
protector helps.
movie. You've seen the movie. How it ends, basically.
Yeah, exactly. We put those things in, we call them out, we have a discussion like during the site visit, during the proposal discussion saying like, hey, these are the extra things we saw that you needed or we recommend you get. It is not a, hey, we're trying to push more products on you. It is, hey, that squirrel nest that's in the tree that's touching your house, at some point the squirrel is going to say, oh, I don't want this nest. I want the glassy rooftop over my head. And he's going to move under your panels and then chew them up. And that gets really expensive. We've been down this road, like you said, it's seen the movie. So those are the things that we really encourage. Reputation first, look at the price, and then look at the offerings. A lot of folks are interested in warranties. I go back to the first thing. If that reputation's not great, that warranty is probably not going to be great 20 years from now. So know who you're dealing with and take that approach.
Love it, man. It's like you don't always want to go with the cheapest group. You want to go with a pro installer.
Yeah.
It's going to save you a ton of money down the road, man.
Yeah. And the kind of the fourth kind of bucket is, are they local? Because if you do have issues, are they going to pick up the phone on a Tuesday night to deal with your issue? If you do have a roof leak, are they going to be able to get a crew over to you within a day or two? If you're dealing with a large national or regional company, sometimes it's like you make a phone call to the tech support and they create a ticket. That's my favorite word. They create the ticket. And then the ticket goes to another department. And then that department sends a tech out who may or may not have the skills or the expertise to fix the problem. And then they got to send another group out. So it could be like 2 weeks before you get your roof leak fixed. In an area like ours, it's 6 months out of the year, it's raining almost every day. You don't want a roof leak going on. You want it fixed.
What's one of the wildest installations that you've done? Because you are in a unique, area. It does rain a lot.
Yeah.
Doesn't really snow that often, but it does.
So one of my personal favorite installs, we did a job. If you look on the map in Oregon, there's Portland that's kind of on the western side, and then the rest of Oregon in the east between Portland and Idaho. And it's a vast emptiness. There's not a lot of people, some small towns, great small towns. We had a client that was building a new house outside of Burns or John Day, Oregon. And he was in the mountains about an hour and a half north of John Day. The nearest hotel was an hour and a half away from his job site. And we were looking at trying to figure out how to do this site in the middle of remote Oregon. Their supply house is 4.5 hours away. So, we were discussing with him, trying to figure out how we're going to do this project. And ended up, we decided we'd rent an RV for the install crew and myself. So we packed them up in an RV, packed everything in a box truck. And we probably had half of our warehouse in this box truck going out there because we didn't know, when you need something and the nearest supply house is 4 hours away, you pack everything you could possibly think of. So we went out and we did this job. We planned for it to take a week, took about 3.5 days, went perfectly smooth, had everything we needed, didn't have any issues. But, the guys got to live in an RV for 3 days. We cooked out on an open fire pit. You got these giant Eastern Oregon mountains right next to you, and the John Day River flowing right underneath us is just one of those like gorgeous moments to be a part of.
Doesn't really sound like work, man. That sounds like my type of job right there.
Yeah.
I mean, do you guys bring any fishing poles or anything?
I did bring one, but we were cranking through stuff so well, I didn't have time to go down and go fishing. But I've since been back and fished that spot with the homeowner once or twice, and it's a good place for smallmouth.
Nice, man. That's awesome. And this has been an awesome conversation. I love talking with people who are actually building companies instead of just talking about it. Where can people learn more about SunPath Services?
Our website, sunpathservices.com, easiest way to reach out to us. And then just Google tells you quite a bit. We got quite a information there. We do have a Facebook page, Facebook following. You can check us out there. Yeah. So, and then reach out. If you have any interest, reach out. We can talk you through it, inform you. We're not pressure sales. Like, we want you to make the decision and be informed when you make it. That's really all we care about.
Hey, when you call SunPath, just ask for Aaron. Aaron, thanks for coming on the show. And for everyone listening, this is Empower365 Podcast, where we highlight innovators, entrepreneurs building for the future. We'll see you on the next pod.